Hi, welcome to this episode of Industry Voice. Today we have Mick Hunt on the episode. How are you, sir?
I'm good, Jeff. How you doing today, brother?
Good. We have a big industry and small community, and this is the first time you and I have chatted, outside of a message here and there. We
Yeah.
caught up for 10 minutes before we started hitting the record button. But there's so many people in our industry, successful people, speak really highly of you. And I'm just glad I got you on the mic today. So for our audience, I'm just gonna turn the mic over to you, and you can tell them your story and also the community you have built over the years and why all these people speak so highly of you.
Well, I can answer the last part first. $20 still goes a long way, Jeff. I don't know about this inflation, but $20 will get your name said, apparently. Nah, one, I appreciate you having me on. And two, being in the insurance space for 24, 25 years now, it's crazy. You and I are either speaking at the same conference or you just left an area that I'm coming into and vice versa. So it is good to finally sit down with you, man. But who I am, I tell people this all the time. I'm the 10-year-old boy that made a promise to his mom to change lives. And that's the premise of who I am. At 10 years old, I probably experienced things that most 10-year-olds shouldn't when it comes to protecting your mom. Jeff, I was raised in a two-parent household, but every day it was like I was being raised by a single mom. Like my dad was there, but he was never there, if that makes sense. And so at 10 years old, I woke up on a Saturday to my mom crying her eyes out at the edge of my bed. And I knew what those tears meant. I knew what they represented. And I wanted to do something about it. But I was 10. There was nothing I could do, right? My dad was physically bigger and stronger than me. But I made my mom a promise that I was going to do something, become someone that could impact her life and then influence the lives of others. And so every single day, I'm that 10-year-old that keeps fulfilling a promise that I made. And so that became the person that I am today. At 10, I say a little boy died and a man was born. And so every decision that I made at 10 years old was about how to impact my mom's life, how to change my sister's life, right? And that meant becoming a leader of some sort. And that's what I pride myself on is just that journey. So, graduated college, started in the insurance space, started working for one of my mentors, Mark Vitale, who said, I want to be the biggest, baddest agent on the planet. And Jeff, that's what we did. But what I realized was, while Mark is going on these trips to Banff, Canada, to Rome, Italy, to Paris, France, to Atlantis, I get to win the trips to Atlanta. Right? And so Atlantis and Atlanta are not the same thing. And so I realized I wanted to start my own insurance agency from scratch. And so that's what I did. I started an agency, grew it really fast, really quickly, was acquired by a broker 3 years later. I then went to go head up uh, an MGA down in South Florida, where it grew it from 50 million to 70 million. And at that point, I said, you know what? I want to show other people in our industry how to do this because growth isn't hard. It's not easy, but it's not hard. It takes having a CEO mindset and making the right decisions and being the right leader every single day. And so that's what I've been doing for the past several years inside the insurance space, working with agency owners, particularly on how to be the best version of themselves that they can be every day. And then I've got this brand outside of insurance where we work with Fortune 500 companies, 100 companies, in the same premise of how to be the best leaders that you can be for your team.
Keep going. I'm reading all your LinkedIn's. I mean, Premier Strategy Box, Mick Unplugged.
Yeah.
You
So
are being very humble. There's so much to dig into here. Want to hear like at some point you exit your insurance agency and then you start focusing more on consulting
yeah,
and why'd you make that decision?
someone offered a 32-year-old $16 million, and I said, okay.
That's a good
Right? Like
reason.
we all get in. So one of the things that I learned
What
from
year was that?
what year? So I sold the agency in 2012.
Oh wow.
Yeah. And then I went to go start up a brokerage or take over a brokerage. and then had a financial exit from that in 2016. And so
Okay,
then,
so you had a 4 year earn out.
yeah, yeah.
So, man, 2012, $60 million in 2024. That's like $50 million. Easy,
It felt like 200
easy.
million
I
in
mean, think about like
2012.
how cheap housing was in 2012 versus like 2024.
Yeah. Yeah. And we had
So,
just
yeah.
come back, so everybody was giving away money at that point, right? It was it was interesting to say the least, right? So, selling a business at 32 years old, um, and then 4 years later having another financial exit from another company. And that's when I decided to do consulting because I feel like it's the American dream that I got to live, right? Like you
Yeah.
build a business, you sell a business. You build a business, you sell a business. Like that should be the dream versus you build a business and then you go out of business. I didn't want that piece. So that's when I did start consulting just as myself for a little bit. And then I decided to start a company, Premier Strategy Box, bring in employees because I never want to be the smartest person on my team when definitely not in the room. So I built and have an amazing team on the insurance space. And we've been helping agencies grow and grow and grow for the past 4.5, 5 years. Um, and then my Mick Unplugged brand is my brand that's outside of insurance. It started with the podcast, just like we're on now, right? And what's crazy, Jeff, I didn't want to start a podcast, right? Like, I felt like, especially in the insurance industry, there were some really good, great podcasts out there, and I didn't want to do the same thing, and so I didn't want to do it. And then Daniel Song, Ryan Hanley, Bradley Flowers, they were all like, "Mick, do a podcast." And so after 6 months of that, I finally said, "Okay, I'm going to do a podcast. It's not going to be insurance." And I'm going to open the world up more to my story and then this other world that I kind of live in, right? Like in the insurance bubble, as I call it, people kind of know you in that bubble. They don't really get to know the real you or the person that you truly are. And so Mick Unplugged became that outlet for people to know some of my friends, like a Les Brown, who's my mentor, a Kenny Anderson, a really great friend of mine, a Merrill Hodge, a great friend of mine, to bring in those people that we could have the conversations we have on the weekends. So opening the world up to that stuff.
One thing I learned about, being my first 5 years just so green coming to insurance is there's a fantastic agent, there's a fantastic agency owner, and then there's fantastic entrepreneur,
Yeah.
right? There's three different levels. And there's no right or wrong because there's so many ways to cut the cheese. And some people they want to run lean mean machines. Some people want to run lean like scale operation, big time things. And then there's some people just understand cash flows and cash float. Everybody talk to you like you're the smartest guy in the room. Literally, like I got that from a couple people on this podcast. They mentioned your name. So, but who are your mentors? Who taught you how to be a great agent, and who taught you how to be a great agency owner, and who taught you how to be a great entrepreneur? If you had to reflect and give some shout outs to the people who bless you along the way. Thank you for watching this video. Now a quick message from our sponsor, Mav.
Thanks, Jeff. I want to let you all in on a secret that top producing agencies don't want you to know about. If you're in P&C insurance, you know firsthand how much you're getting squeezed by your call center. It's becoming less predictable and less economically profitable to scale. But here's the thing. The top producing agencies making over $100 million are not running their leads through a human-based call center. They're running them through an AI expert like Mav to qualify, quote, and hand deliver the highest intent qualified leads to your agents. Mav takes care of the back and forth, having unlimited 24/7 conversations with your leads that are personal and relevant so you can scale to the moon. Ready to ditch your call center and 10x your agency? We're giving the listeners of insurtech's $15,000 worth of credit to try Mav. Head to hiremav.com/insurtechs to claim this offer.
So the first two, to be a great agent and great agency owner, is the same person, Mark Vitale. Mark Vitale was my first mentor and real father figure in life. Like Mark really taught me what business strategy was all about. He taught me the fundamentals of what insurance means to people, right? Insurance at the end of the day for most people is a piece of paper, right? And people are going to tell you differently. They're going to tell you it's peace of mind, it's security. At the end of the day, insurance for most people is a piece of paper. But what Mark taught me was the value of what that piece of paper actually does. And so that's what I got to understand as an agent. And then as an agency owner, he taught me how to build a machine, meaning, Mick, find your niche and don't care what anyone says and just do your niche, right? And so, people used to, I'm not going to say they laughed at Mark, but Mark was the self-proclaimed king of non-standard for Nationwide. And Mark was like, hey, non-standard folks need insurance as well too, and they get treated differently when they go places. I'm going to treat them like the human beings that they are. And so Mark didn't care what anyone thought. He did cater to folks that might have had a speeding ticket or an accident that couldn't potentially get insurance elsewhere, got treated like they were second class. He taught me the value of carving a niche and treating people like world class. And that was amazing for me as a business owner. As an entrepreneur, and I was just with him this weekend, my mentor has always been Damon John. It started from afar, right? Like seeing what he did with Fubu, and then when he was on Shark Tank. So I was one of those like virtual mentees. And then I finally got the opportunity to have him as a real mentor in my life, someone that I talk to on a regular that provides amazing insights into just overall, you're a CEO, you're a brand. How do you build a brand? How do you scale a brand? And how do you get visibility? There's no one better at that than Damon John. And so the last couple of years, like he really has just taught me those things. And then Jeff, I have a fourth mentor that I'll say is like my life mentor, and that's Les Brown. So motivational speaker, Les Brown literally is like a real father figure to me, someone that I talk to 5 times a day that keeps me focused on the main thing of life. And that's the promise that I made to my mom. Like Les and I talk literally 5 times a day, and we end every night with the conversation of, are you proud of the decisions that you made today? A lot of times that answer is yes. There are times because we're human that answer is no. But we have that conversation every single
Mick,
night.
you
I'm
gotta
able to live
write a
myself
book
up.
just so you can put that quote on the book. Literally, that's the title. That's a good quote.
Yeah. Are you proud of the decisions that you made today? Right? Amazing. Amazing.
Sorry, I cut you off, but keep.
No. I mean, that's literally it. So I have those 4 mentors. I have, just great friends that I've been able to meet in the industry, outside of the industry. So like a Chris Paradiso, Daniel Song, Darren Vermos, like my 3 best friends that we push each other to be the best versions of ourselves every day, not just the best insurance person, but the best versions of ourselves those days. And so those are the 3 guys that we're like the 3 amigos. You see one of us, you probably see all of us. And then outside of the industry, guys like Robert Irvine that pour into me countlessly, a Chauncey Bell, names that people probably don't know, but just people that really influence me and help me make decisions, whether they're life or business. I've
So,
never seen speechless Jeff Shee before. Look at that.
no, I'm just thinking. So, there's a lot of angles I can take the next part of the conversation. So, going back to you, growing to be the best agent, building the best agency. If you look at like sharpening your tools, sharpening your skill set as a agency owner, what do you think was the most challenging part for you to master? Marketing process, hiring, coaching, training.
It was definitely time management, right? When you start a business, you wear multiple hats, right? Especially in the insurance space. And so you're the principal, you're the producer, you have to account manage sometimes, right? You have to make those hard HR decisions, you have to train people or at least put the right people in place. And it was, for me, the challenging part was, how do I manage my time so that I can wear each hat and not be distracted when it's another hat that I should be wearing, but I got this hat on and I really got to be, a producer right now, right? And I know that there's times that I need to be the CEO and make CEO decisions. So for me, I had to master time management. And I did that just by putting things on my calendar and not allowing distractions to happen, right? So, if I'm in my producer mode and I've got a prospect for 2 hours, it's on my calendar to prospect for 2 hours, and I'm not going to be distracted by anything else. And that just takes a lot of self-discipline, right? If it's time for me to be the CEO and I've got to review financials and make some strategy decisions, then I have it on my calendar that this is CEO time. So I really had to master how to manage my time, because as business owners, that's our hottest commodity, is time and what you do with it. And, for us, and this, Jeff, it's not just 8 hours in a day, right? Like our work days are 20 hours a lot of times. So how do you manage that time? And then, oh, by the way, you're a husband and you're a father and you're a brother and you're an uncle. How do you manage all that time as well too? So I really had to master time management. And from my work time, it literally is put it on the calendar, and that's the hat that I'm committed to at that time.
So I used to when I was building an agency a lot, I used to do a lot of podcasts. People get me on their podcasts and talk. And I built out 8 pillars, part of our consulting and training that we did for agent back in the day. And I think number 8 was something that people overlook the most. And it made one of the biggest difference, which number 8 for me on the pillars was time management.
Yeah. Yeah. It's critically important. And it's a skill that, and I'm saying it's a skill, because skills are things that you practice, skills are things that you develop, right? And time management truly is a skill, and it takes the commitment, it takes the diligence, it takes the discipline, it takes all of that to really master it. But here's the cool thing: once you master time management, managing your time becomes very easy, no matter what hat you put on, because ultimately, for the principals that are listening or the business owners that are listening, one day you're going to get to the point where you can be CEO most of the time, 80% of the time. Well, guess what? In that CEO hat, you still have to have time management principles, right? Like, there are times that you've got to make this decision, or go meet this person, or go to this event, or whatever. So time management is something that never stops. It becomes a skill, but it becomes much easier once you really master that skill.
I have a friend, mentor in the business, Kush, and Kush Singh, and he was 26 years at Geico, running their flagship call centers in Fredericksburg, Virginia. And he always tell me, like, time has to have purpose and got to be intentional. So what do you think people get wrong on time management? Like, when you consulting your customers or agency owner looking to scale, and then they open their world to you, what do you think they get wrong?
Distractions, easily distracted. This phone right here, email is always open. People are so easily distracted, and they don't know how to prioritize things. Meaning, oh, this customer called, I got to get it done right now. Oh, this employee needs this, I need to do it right now. Or there's this prospect, I need to do it right now. One of the things that we coach and teach, Jeff's priority isn't my priority, right? And that goes along with your customers too. Like, just because the customer calls in and needs something right now, hey, they chose to call you right now. That doesn't mean it has to be delivered right now, right? I use this analogy. Jeff, call your doctor. Tell him you want to be seen in 5 minutes. See how that call goes. Call your attorney. Tell him you need a document returned in 5 minutes. Let me know how that call goes, right? Like, I think in our industry, we don't take ourselves serious as licensed professionals. And I think that's where we get easily distracted, because in our mind, great customer service means instant gratification. And that's not the truth, right? Instant gratification doesn't equal great service. Most of us provide amazing service, but it doesn't mean that we need to do it in an instant. And I think that's the thing that, when you talk about account managers, CSRs, and producers, it's that instant gratification that we feel like we need. Underwriter just sent me an email, I have to respond right now. Customer just called and needs a certificate of insurance, I got to do it right now. Instead of prioritizing our time, prioritizing what is a priority 1, a priority 2, a priority 3, everything becomes a priority 10. And then if Jeff, my team member, needs something, I just move that to the top of the list too. And we have to stop that. Like, to me, that's the biggest thing is, everything's instant gratification and everything's important right now.
And I am one of the biggest victim of distraction to my cell phone.
Right. Right. You get it. You get a
It's a blessing and a
notification.
curse.
Right. Like I have, so on my calendar, I've got like a red, yellow, green system, right? And we use this internally with our team as well. Red means I can't be distracted. I don't care who it is, what it is. My email isn't open, my phone notifications are on silent, and it's turned over so I can't see it. That's a red. Yellow is like proceed with caution. It better be a priority one for me to be interrupted. Right. And green means, hey, I've got this time. I'm good. I'm easy. And so, like, if you were to see my calendar now, you'd see there's green space. And I have blocks purposely of green space because I want to be available and present for my team, for my clients. But I have a lot of red space. I have minimal yellow space. Like, there are things that we have to do. And you get this, Jeff, right? Like, it's called a flow state. We get into a flow state. We get into a good groove of doing work, whatever that work is. Once you have a distraction, you can't mentally get back into that flow state. It takes time to build that back up. So I tell people this, and it's one of the principles that we talk about. You've got to have uninterrupted time on your calendar for things that have to get done.
Now, I know you're not an agency owner today, you're consulting. Are you a build or are you a buy guy?
I am definitely a build guy because when I build, I can put my own value on it. One of the things I learned from Damon John is to build everything with the idea of it being sold. And when you have that mentality, your quality matters, right? You care about your numbers, you care about your margins, you care about everything. So I'm a build guy because I like to control the buy end of it. You can't when you're a buyer, yeah, you can control some, you can make the right decisions, but when you build and you build well, you're in charge of the world.
Okay. Someone give you a startup capital, what would you be building today in the insurance world?
So
Could be
it's something that I'm
software,
actually
could be carriers, could be MGA, could be aggregators, could be scratch agency.
Yeah. So what I'm building literally right now are intelligent agents, meaning using AI to have my intellectual property and a digital twin of myself that's available 24/7.
Nice.
Because especially in the commercial insurance space, which is my bread and butter in the insurance industry, we have a lot of agencies and their staff that are new to commercial, right? I want to make them commercial titans. So that's one of the things that I'm doing, and then creating an AI built LMS, meaning it's going to learn Jeff and Jeff's learning style and Jeff's current position in the agency and Jeff's future plans. And it's going to be a learning module for Jeff, right? Tailored to Jeff, the way that Jeff learns and understands. So it's not even a what would I, like that is literally what I'm building right now.
Is this in pre-seed, seed stage?
Pre-seed.
Pre-seed.
Yeah. But it's totally in development. It's totally in development.
Nice. Friends and family backed? Bootstrapped?
A few friends. Yeah.
Nice.
A few friends and a lot of Mick. A lot of Mick.
There's did you go to ITC Vegas this year?
No, I had an event in LA at the same time.
A lot of AI coming.
Absolutely.
And I also covered an event called AI Summit, Gov AI Summit in DC.
Mm-hmm.
And just talking to all the AI developers that's out there, just every single day you wake up, there's a new update, there's a new change, and just things are moving so fast.
Absolutely. And it's one of the things where our industry, being as slow as it has been, is going to be forced to evolve and catch up, I believe. Because, I've had this thing, Jeff, like we're never going to be able to attract newer talent. And I don't even mean younger. I just mean these newer minds that are out there. They're not going to come into legacy insurance because it's not sexy enough, right? Like you still have to use a management system that, and this isn't a knock on any of the AMS platforms, but you're using technology that even like Walmart doesn't use anymore. You know what I mean? Like people are so used to instant something, right? Like I can scan something and the information goes, or like I can type Jeff's name into a platform and I can get Jeff's information. I can recall the last 5 conversations I've had with Jeff. Like every other industry except insurance, that's where they're at. At some point we have to catch up to that because we're not going to attract new talent. Like why would I go sit down at a desk and attach a file, label the file, recap the entire phone conversation that I had, and then take the next call and do the same thing? Like, why would I do that versus that information just automatically happening, right? Like, why can't I focus on Jeff the human versus the priority being make sure you document that call correctly, make sure you label that file correctly. Like, that's what insurance teaches us more than actual insurance.
When I was at ICC Vegas, I did over 100 interviews of every single exhibitors.
Yeah.
And everybody said the AI is already there. The challenge is the data, is the unstructured data. That's the challenge.
Yeah.
And a favorite quote from Jennifer Linton over at Fenris, she said, "The data are there. We just got to go liberate it."
Yeah.
And I think the more as everybody's tech to evolve, and the more integration, the embedded we are, we're really going to see AI start to do really cool stuff.
Wholeheartedly. I tell people in my agency in 2012, I wouldn't say it was modern in today's time, but it was definitely modern from 2008 to 2011, 2012 when I sold. People laugh when they find out I didn't have a agency management system. I worked off of a CRM that wasn't an insurance CRM because even then I had more capability than I did in an AMS, right? Like I wanted to truly
What
care
CRM
about
was it?
the customer. It's essentially what is now HubSpot. Yeah, it's what's now HubSpot. But it wasn't HubSpot back then, but it was really just focused on customer interactions. And then I had, an agreement with Accord or an Accord license. So when I needed to do a certificate, we did it there. But we focused on the actual customers, not did you label this correctly? Did this go there? Like agency owners are so afraid of E&O, but none of them can tell you the last time they had an E&O claim, right? It's keep things simple. But if you talk to an account manager, I promise you, they'll tell you their job is more agency management centric than anything else.
I'm going to pivot for a second.
Let's go.
You started the podcast because your friends told you, "Hey, Mick, you got to do a podcast."
Yeah.
What was that experience like building a podcast and building your audience and your community? Thank you for all your support to our channel. Here is a quick word from our sponsor. Please click on the link below in the comment section to sign up for a demo with Track AI.
What if your insurance sales conversations could work harder for you? Meet Track, your AI-powered conversation intelligence partner. Track automatically captures and analyzes every customer interaction, providing instant call summaries, risk analysis, and AI-driven coaching insights. Say goodbye to manual note-taking and hello to more selling time. Track handles the admin work while you handle the revenue. Fully integrated with your favorite platforms. Plus, get custom AI analysis tailored to your unique business needs. Transform your sales team's performance with Track. Visit track.ai today.
Click the link in the description below to schedule a demo with Track today.
Started the podcast in March of 2024. And what I wanted to talk about, that promise I made to my mom, I call it my because. It's something deeper than your why, right? Like your because becomes your purpose. And my because was the promise that I made to my mom. And so my mentor, Les Brown, was like, that's the message. That's what you need to talk about. Like you need to interview guests and talk about their because. And so it literally went like this, Jeff. I started thinking of, okay, I know 4 people that I could bring on the podcast. So I'm going to do 1 drop per month. And in the course of a year, I can find another 8 people, right? So I dropped the one with Les Brown, and then all of a sudden my email and phone blow up with guest request. I had no idea how to manage that, what that looked like. So I immediately just built a team. So I've got my COO literally handles like all the booking, the scheduling, and all that. Um, I didn't really have I shouldn't say real, I had editors, but the production of a podcast and what the audience is looking for on the various platforms, right? Like you have so many people that would rather watch a podcast than listen to it. So understanding, how to do the visual components of it, making sure you've got the right quality in audio, but at the end of the day, no matter what, making sure you're connecting with your audience. And so I've never swayed from that. Like everything is about the because. Everything is about my guest, their because, and we make sure that we give listeners and viewers tips that they can implement right now. Right. So that's the podcast. And it has gone from nothing to, no exaggeration, over 1 million downloads a month. Number one in self-improvement, number 2 or 3, depending on the hour of the day in education, top 50 to 75, again, depending on the hour or the day overall. But it's because we stick to a format, we stick to a strategy. I've had many conversations with Apple and Spotify and YouTube and Instagram and LinkedIn just on algorithms. So just understanding what viewers want from a clip standpoint, what they want from a full episode standpoint. And then obviously now I have sponsors and advertisers. So making sure that they get what they want too. So the business of podcasting is real and it's huge. I mean, I know people that are making millions of dollars per year by having a podcast. And it's something 9 months ago I would have laughed at if you'd have told me that I'm at a spot now where Mick Unplugged podcast is its own business, which is wild to even say out loud.
Do you have sponsors?
I do.
How was that relationship like?
It's great. So I'm a part of so I got signed to a major network. So Urban One podcast, Urban One is the largest Black-owned media company in the world. So radio, TV, podcasting, advertising, they do a lot there. But AT&T, Apple, we're negotiating with some big names right now, but the relationships are great. We have a sponsor call once a month where we just kind of go through numbers and vision and strategy, and the sponsors continue to stay on board. So that's wonderful.
I'm gonna take it to something that's a little bit controversial.
Okay.
We are people of color.
Yep.
Would some people say, oh, there's not enough minorities in the insurance industry, right?
Yep.
But you look at this generation, at the now current generation at 18 and over, Caucasians are the minority now. They have crossed over below 50%, and people of color have gone over. But if you look at over the last 3 decades, the insurance representation, whether it's frontline, middle management, or senior leaderships, hasn't really changed that much. Why do you think we have such a hard time attracting minorities in this industry?
Yeah, that's a great, amazing question. And I'm going to say it in a sense because I'm honest, I'm transparent, I'm real, I'm open. When you go to conferences, you see the same person, right? There's not enough involvement to where people feel included. There's not enough, I'm going to say, publicity around what we're doing. I don't care if I'm a person of color, if I'm a woman, and I see the social media highlights of conferences, I don't look like I belong there. And so if I don't look like I belong there, I'm not gonna go. And so we need to do a much better job of our industry of not just including people, but highlighting people of color, highlighting women, highlighting people that aren't American born as well too. Because that's what the world is now. That's what America is now. And I know that there are a lot of people that are in our industry that are on the front line of this, like a Chris Paradiso, like a Ryan Hanley, like a Darren Vermose, that, they're using their voice to say, hey, you know, we need a Taryn Moore to not just participate in this event, but to speak at this event. We need to have carriers that are willing to look at people on paper, but also hear their vision of where they're going to give those appointments. Because again, if I'm beholden to someone to get in the door, then I'm always beholden of someone to stay in the room. And we've got to be able to break that. So it starts not just with the events, which we have to do a better job of getting people involved, not just attending, but speaking and leading different masterminds. We've got to have carriers and companies that are willing to take a chance on people that they may not know or that they may not have seen, but are brilliant minds and are in amazing communities. And then 3, Jeff, we just got to talk about it. And like nothing happens if it's just Jeff and Mick saying, hey, there's not a lot of minority representation out here, even at the company level, the carrier level, the insurtech level. What are we doing about it? Right? Like we have all these amazing conferences and amazing forums, but nobody's talking about this. So my challenge to everyone is, why aren't we talking about it? And then are we going to take it a step further and let's do something about it? Like if you really care, if you're listening and you really care, let's start a conversation. Let's start that call, because when everyone wins, everyone wins.
Yeah. I was gonna wait until you finish and start adding to it. I was at Allstate when I first started in the industry, and they had a thing called the diversity group, diversity council, or whatever that is. And then it was
Mhm.
national thing. And, they was, minority as also agency owner at the time was like less than 10%. That's across all colors. And that even included veterans.
Yeah.
And they just had a really hard time attracting talent from outside, right? And to me, this industry has changed my life. So I'm blessed by it, and I want to give back to it. But I really didn't understand it until I got into it, and I tried to tell my friend about it, and just nobody is ever excited about listening to me. Like, hey, let me tell you about insurance career. They're like, no,
Yeah.
Jeff, let's talk about football or fantasy football or something else.
Right.
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 And you and I, we're both deep in the industry, in the community. We see how it changed so many of our friends' lives and made them millionaires and give them amazing family, amazing lifestyles. But it's in our own community that it just doesn't resonate. It's just not sexy. And one of the things I think is we need more successful Jeff, successful Mick out there with the biggest microphone and continue to storytell about the community, and maybe it can attract more talent. So it's just an interesting perspective that I think about in my head. And so I'd like to hear your thoughts on it. So
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to say sexy, but we have to make insurance attractive, right? Like we've got to make insurance a thing that people care about, not when they hear the term insurance agent. If you're not in our industry, they immediately think of like a used car salesman or like the back in the day life insurance agent that used to go knocking on doors, right? Like if you'd ask, my family growing up about insurance, that's what they thought. The life insurance agent that once a month came by to collect the payments. And so we've got to be able to transform what we do, the messaging that we have, but more importantly, the existence of what insurance is meant for. Like we've got to be able to talk about that in a fun way, not just, oh, there's a claim, because that's what most people are going to think of as insurance.
Sorry, I side railed this conversation, but you have a community, you have a following. So, I just want to get in your head and to see what your thoughts were. We're going to the new year, right? Like as recording this episode, November 26th. What's your anticipation of next year? What is your big goal for Mick next year? You can go with comfortable ones, or you can go with hard ones.
Nah, man. So again, being transparent, right? Like the podcast has opened up a lot of doors for me. And honestly, I think the podcast has been a way for people to kind of get to know me a little bit more too. And so continuing to evolve in media in general, and I'm just going to tease it with media. So I have a few things that have been presented to me and my team, and we're going to take some time and look at that. So just growing more, doing more in media is a big goal for me in 2025. On the insurance side, man, like I think the biggest goal that I have is continuing to impact and make education and learning easier. Because again, we're not going to get the newer employee in. So helping our industry understand the modern employee and their needs and the modern buyer. So I'm really big on just that, like the education of, hey, dude, it's 2024 going into 2025. We all buy differently now, right? Like how if Jeff were to talk about how Jeff purchased things 5 years ago, Jeff would sound like an 80-year-old man, right? We all purchase different. We all have different thoughts. I mean, you just talked about how you're so distracted by this phone, right? 5 years ago, you probably were not. But now, if you don't have that connected to you, you miss things like that. So that's the biggest thing. And then, Jeff, man, I'm going to put this out there for our industry because you've lit something in me with that last question. How do we get more diverse in insurance? Like, why can't we have, I don't like months, right? Like one of my least favorite thing are themed months, right? Like it's, oh, May is this month and April is this month. Why can't we have a conscious effort to, at every event, because insurance has 100 events a month, right? At every event, there's a moment where we talk about diversity. There's a moment where we talk about minority representation, to ultimately where we can have, I don't know if it needs to be a conference or whatever, but we have a force. We have a committee that represents insurance and its diversity needs. So because I said it, I'm going to put myself out there too. Like I want to make that happen in 2025, that carriers, insurtech companies, legacy technology companies, agencies, there's a board that represents not DEI, but just represents diversity and the growth of minorities in insurance, whether it's at the company level, the carrier level, the technology level, the agency level. Like I need that to happen.
And I think you have the platform to do it. You have the platform to do it yourself, and also you have the platform to inspire others to join and tell their stories, right? Like I think to make our industry sexy, to attract, people throughout our community, is we have to continue to storytell. And so this way that people get inspired, like Jeremy Lin, Asian kid, right? For the New York Knicks when he couldn't even get drafted to NBA, right?
Yeah.
And Steph Curry, 6'2". He proved so many theories wrong about NBA.
Yeah.
Jump faster, jump higher, jump quicker, and muscular. I mean, he was none of the four, right?
Yeah.
And, people say you cannot win as a shooter, right? You got to have bigs in the NBA. Like, these are people that their story, their success was told over and over again to change a thesis, to change a belief. And I think we just got to keep on storytell. So, man, it's great to have you on. It's great to have you on. I'm thinking about in the future, I'd love to do some kind of panel speaking and just do like a true couple episodes of long form podcasts where we're chopping it up and talk about building agencies, especially come from a bunch of people who have had high success building agencies in different niches and skill sets. And then for a couple of us, just sit around and chop it up. So
I love it.
Nick, actually, I have something I'm gonna give to you offline. So
okay,
we're gonna say goodbye to our audience. Thank you for tuning in. I'm gonna send an intake form over to Mick and get all of his URLs so you guys can follow him and connect with him. Yeah. And we're looking forward to have you on again.
Jeff, thanks for having me, brother. It was nice having a conversation. Great conversation.
Have a good one, guys.